Hey everyone, it's Professor Clark, and in this lecture, we are going to learn a little bit more about the forms of the accusative case. So the great thing about the accusative case is that it doesn't have very many endings of its own. It mostly uses the endings of other cases. So we are now going to learn all the forms of the accusative, but this will not involve learning any actual new endings because you already know them. In the accusative, as we've discussed a little bit, we have this distinction between animacy and inanimacy. Animate objects are people and animals, and inanimate objects are everything else. And so in the accusative, you have to distinguish between animate objects. So that's things like человек, a person, student, a student, конь, a steed, медведь, a bear, and so on and so forth. And then on the other hand, we have inanimate objects like stole, a table, stool, a chair. In the masculine and neuter, the accusative for animate objects is the same as the genitive. So if you have an animate object that is masculine as your direct object, or that is in some way in the accusative case, you're going to give it genitive endings. For example, Я вижу моего брата. I see my brother. Brother is the direct object there, and it is also animate, and so we give it genitive endings. Я вижу моего брата. However, if we have a masculine or neuter inanimate object, we give it nominative endings. Я вижу мой учебник. I see my textbook. Brother is animate, it takes genitive. Textbook is inanimate, it takes nominative. For feminine nouns, we don't make this distinction between animacy and inanimacy. Instead, feminine nouns have their own endings that we have already learned, and their modifiers match them, of course, and also have their own endings, which we have already learned. And as you remember, the rule is that a goes to u and ya goes to you, and this is the same for nouns, adjectives, and special modifiers. So, я вижу мою сестру. I see my sister. Sister is animate, but we just use these special feminine accusative endings regardless of animacy for the feminine. Я вижу мою сестру. We also use exactly the same endings for книга. Я вижу мою книгу. I see my book. In both instances, we use this a going to u, ya going to you rule for the feminine accusative. And then the plural accusative follows the same rules as masculine regardless of the gender of the noun. So all animate nouns take genitive endings in the accusative. Я вижу этих студентов. There we have masculine, but we could also have the same with feminine. Я вижу этих студенток. We have a group of female students, but we still use the genitive for the animate accusative because they are animate. But for inanimate objects, once again, the accusative equals the nominative, or is the same as the nominative. Я вижу эти книги. I see these books. Or я вижу эти учебники. I see these textbooks. It doesn't matter whether the noun is masculine or feminine. What matters is whether the noun is animate or inanimate. And if it is animate, we use genitive. If it is inanimate, we use the accusative endings. And so that is it. That is it for the accusative case. It is also it for Chapter 7. I know there was some pretty heavy going here, so give yourself a big pat on the back for making it through, and I will see you in Chapter 8.